Welcome back to the City Talk, guys. Today we are gonna have a special treat for you guys. It is an all women's panel.
Without the fellas.
Without the guys. So without further ado, I'll be your host today. My name is East J. My lovely co-host here,
Hey,
China. And then we have some special guests for you.
Ariante.
Joe back.
Kim Jones.
So we want you to sit down, tune in, get you some popcorn, because this is going to be good.
Get your green tea.
Yes. Whatever it is you drink on, you get it. So we want to start off, I'm going to start with you, okay? And I know for the younger generation, because you're still in school, right? So tell me how it is for you to find your way, how it is to be a leader amongst all the peer pressure and stuff that you have to deal with as a teenager.
Well, let's just start off by saying I am a strong person. Me, I've been through so much in life, like an average teenager would probably do suicide. And it's hard, but I mean, it's life. You go through things and you get through it. But with God on your side, anything is possible.
I think you cry over here.
It's too early. So is there anything that you've dealt with, like in particular, that you feel comfortable talking with, that you overcame, and you can say, I'm an overcomer, I did this, I took these steps to get over it, and I'm here now?
Well, I would like to talk about my bullying situation. When I was in elementary school, I used to get bullied a lot. It still happens, but not really. I used to want to kill myself. I would go in my room and just write stuff on my walls and stuff. And I wouldn't talk to nobody about it. But then I found something that I liked, and every time I felt like I was down or something, I would go outside and play basketball. And that's how I overcame my bullying situation. Because, like I said, an average teenager would kill themselves. But me, I'm glad I'm the strong person I am today. So.
Do you think just going through that made you stronger? Yeah. Don't make me cry now. I feel it coming. Don't you do?
I have a question for you. Got me up here crying. I'm up here crying for real. Because I know what it's like to be bullied and to be picked on over something you can't help. Over having potential and over having gifts that you didn't even ask for. What advice do you have for people your age? First of all, how old are you?
I'm 17, I'll be 18.
Y'all, she's 17 years old, up here talking like this. She's so strong. But what advice do you have for your generation, for your peers out there who may feel like, life isn't worth living, who may feel that, I'm trying to fit in, but it's just not working? Like, what advice do you have for them coming from your perspective, coming from a 17-year-old? Because we can tell them all day, you are special, you're worth this, but when it comes from somebody that they can relate to, what can you tell them in your own Ariante way?
When someone is, don't be something someone else wants you to be. Follow your heart. Because at the end of the day, you got to go up to God, confess your sins, and do all this and that. Be yourself. Don't be what others tell you to be. Because there's nothing in this world that you can be good at that somebody else is good at. So be yourself.
Ooh, yeah. This is getting heavy too fast.
My goodness. So my question will be going to you two, right? So being married to pastors, sometimes you get overshadowed. So just speaking to anybody in general, the pastor's wife or somebody, you know, just being in the shadows, how did you find becoming your own person, defining who you are outside of the quote-unquote image of the pastor's wife?
Well, finding your own and coming into your own. First, I think going back to previous broadcasts that y'all had done, you have to kind of like know who you are. Being with the pastor and in the image out there in the limelight of the pastor, you will lose yourself. You will kind of like, because everything is when people talk, they praise, we thank God for the man of God, we thank God for the pastor, we thank God for, you know, whoever your husband is. But a lot of times the wife gets thrown in the back, and there is nobody there to like, we thank God for, you know, the pastor's wife. But I do believe that, you know, if you're with the man of God, it first begins with the woman of God. Because when it begins with the woman of God, you need to get with the woman of God to pray for the man of God. Because the woman of God is to protect her. She's to protect her household. She's to protect him. She's there to protect the anointing. Not as well as say to be the rule over him, but there is a line that, you know, is to protect that anointing. And that's, to me, that's a woman's responsibility. And the duties of a wife, of a pastor's wife, I believe, is to help to protect that anointing. And once you protect that anointing, you lose yourself. And then when you lose yourself, it's like you get like in a place where you sometimes go into a depression, or you get, you know, you just don't want to do this anymore. But you have to come to yourself. And when you come to yourself, you have to say, you know, I have to find me. And when you find you come out and you walk beside him. Because a lot of people think that when you walking with the man of God, you're walking behind him. No, you have to go back, reevaluate yourself. Go back and find your own. Come into your own and go into you and say, who am I? You know, who God called me to be. And if he called me to walk with this man of God, I have to walk beside him and not behind him.
That's good.
Not under him and not over him, but beside him.
That's good.
And when you begin to walk with the man of God, then you become your own. Now, when you become your own, I can help you to define you and to help you to carry out the things that God has called you to do as being a pastor.
That's right. And I just want to tell you, thank you. I admire you. See, when I was your age, I didn't have that voice. That despite what the world was trying to dictate to me of who I should be, that I could stand up and proudly proclaim the things that you have just said here today. So thank you for that. Because I think that, you know, I'm gaining a lot of wisdom from First Lady here. And, you know, she's walked that journey, a long journey, before I have even come onto this path. And I take those gems of wisdom from her and women like her, because I didn't have them at your age. You know, I allowed the world to dictate who I was. And so now I'm doing a lot of, you know, I won't call it standing up for myself, but standing up for my place of where God has called me. Because God has called me to that place beside my husband. I have gifts, you have gifts.
Yes.
You know, we are women that can preach, and
Right.
we can, you know, we can do things within the church body, but our first calling is to stand beside our husbands, our you know, men of God, to boldly proclaim, because it's not just his voice that is heard on Sunday mornings, but it is the voice that is behind, you know, the women that are behind, that are
Yes.
praying for, that
Yes.
are, you know, encouraging,
Yes.
that are loving them. And I think that if I would not have the women women like you in my life, and the younger women like you that are just there as examples. I don't know that I'd be able to do this, you know? So I don't think it's so much about the congregation as it is what I'm open to and what I allow myself to be in order to be able to be that woman that stands beside him.
So just for, not even just Pastor Life, but just any woman that's out there that's struggling to find herself or to find her identity or to just to, just to put her in the right direction, I want to start with you as a teen. What advice can you give them to, to kind of shift them to the point where they can start realizing the gifts and the things that's within them? How can you tell them to, things that you did to bring that out of them? You know what I mean?
Usually some people, they have a notebook and they write down all their feelings and stuff. I mean, that's what I used to do, but it helped me not really. Do something that you like love, like it could be basketball, dancing, anything. And if you love yourself and Jesus loves you, that's all that matters. I mean,
Y'all heard that?
Say it again a little louder. Say it again, just say it
if you
louder.
love yourself and Jesus loves you, that's all that matters.
Hashtag, that's all that matters.
Hashtag, that's all that matters. And for me, let me just say, just being, I'm still young. In my mind, I'm still 21. However, we all know that, I'm a little older than 21.
Forever 21.
Yeah, but you're right, forever 21. But for me, I think you have to just sometimes get in a place by yourself where you can think and not allow others to think for you. And once you start to think and you go in and you just start self-examining yourself and say, okay, well, I don't like this about myself, let me change this. I don't like my attitude, so let me change my attitude. I don't like the way, I talk to people, so let me readjust or come and, and try to find a different way to deliver the message or to get my point across. But it all starts with you. You have to, it's self-love.
Yeah, it starts.
And you have to give yourself self-tough love.
Yes, Lord.
You set the example and you set the standard for how you want people to treat you as a woman. And as a woman, you have to know that you are the gift.
That's right.
You are the gift.
That's right.
Nobody can give you to a man or to anyone. You are the gift. Don't let anybody tell you different. You are the gift. And if you don't love yourself now, just wake up in the morning. And when I tell people, get you some sticky notepads and write you some daily affirmations. And if you don't think you're beautiful, say, guess what? I'm going to write, I am beautiful. And I'm sticking it on my mirror. And every time I go to brush my teeth, guess what I'm going to say? I am beautiful. And I'm going to tell myself that until I believe it.
There you go. And it also starts with detoxing.
You have to get rid of negative people in your life.
You have to get rid of
Yes.
negative people. Negative people are like cavities.
Yes.
Negativity is like, negativity is our cancer. It eats away at you, and to the point where it just depletes you and it makes you weak. And as women, we attach ourselves to everything.
Everything.
I mean, as it relates to family,
Yes.
friendships,
Yes.
jobs,
Yes.
everything, we attach ourselves to it because that's in our nature.
Yes.
We are nurturers, we are lovers by nature. So therefore, sometimes we give our love to things that really, truly don't deserve our love.
Yes.
So we have to come into that space where, you know what, I know that people are going to think I'm being funny. I know that I might get a few nose turn-ups, but so be it. If it's for my mind, if it's for my sanity, and if it's for me, then I'm going to have to sever the ties with
You have
whatever
to.
it is.
Yes.
You have to cut the ties.
And then
You have to.
Yeah, sometimes you feel like, well, if I do this, then I'm going to have to be alone. Well, sometimes it's good for you to be alone.
Yes.
Yes.
You need to be in that
Yes.
space where you need to get you together,
Yeah.
your head together, your mind together, your spirit together. Because once you are together, you can probably walk up
There you go.
and you can walk around with your head held high.
Head held
You know,
high.
but you can't do that if you're not willing to walk by yourself.
And the thing that we have to understand and realize is that whenever God separates us from something,
Don't go back to it.
yes, don't go back to it. And he doesn't separate and doesn't take away things from us to be mean or to be spiteful or to throw his weight around. No, he does that because he knows that he has the intent on replacing it with something better. So you have to sever the ties with negative things. Whenever you sever the ties with negative things, positivity is going to be right behind you.
And so for my question for you two is, so because you're married, and so we only see things from a single person's view. So with people, women, I've had people come to me, women, want to know, okay, what can I do? What paths can I take? Because I want to be married and I want to start a family.
How can we become wise?
Yes. Do you have any advice for the women that wants to become wise but don't know, I guess, maybe where to start or what to look for in a man or to...
Because I'm trying to register at
Well-
Target.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I think, just want to say this quickly. People think being alone is a bad thing, but being alone is not really a bad thing. I think being alone is a good thing because you come to find out who you are and the strength that you have. And when you become not trying to be the strength, but be the strength. Not trying, but coming, just be it. Just do it. And when we begin to do it, we begin to fall in love with ourselves over and over again. And when you fall in love with yourself, then you won't allow somebody, another man, a man to come up and tell you, you're beautiful. Okay, tell me something else. I already know that. Because I'm in love with myself. And now you got to bring, what are you bringing to the table? You know, I'm bringing this, you have to instill value in yourself. You have to be, your own self-value, your own self-worth. And I think you have to build on that self-esteem. And when you begin to build on that self-esteem, then I'm telling you, when a man come to you, you got to say, okay, God, is this the one? You know, God will let you know. And if he's not talking your language, keep it moving.
That's right.
Because I know who I am, I know who I become,
Hello, somebody.
and you know, it is, you know, that's what we have to be. That's what we have to do as being young ladies, seeking companionship. Because companionship, you just don't, you just want to be in a relationship. You want to bring something to the table to add value to the relationship.
You got to be married to Jesus first.
Ooh.
You know, I mean, and I don't mean in the sense that he's your husband or he's your boyfriend, but you got to know, you know, just like First Lady just said, you got to know who you are. You know, what does he say about you? You got to, we have this saying in our young women's group, you know, you got to straighten up your crown. You know, and remember that you are the queen, and I'm not just saying the princess, but you are the queen that he has called you to be. And when you walk like that and you talk like that, others will see you like that, and they will see Christ before they see you. And so when a man wants to come to you, you know, I tell my daughters all the time, especially my single ones, you know, you want him to be attracted to Christ in you. You know, not just your outward beauty. You know, you Pharisees, you know, you look at the outside of the cup before you look at the inside. And that's, I'm constantly feeding that into them. And I wish somebody had fed that into me, you know, when I was younger, because I was married to the world before I was married to Jesus. And so, you know, I really reiterate what you just said about that, about really knowing who you are.
Married to the world is anything goes. Married to Jesus
Yeah,
is limitless.
That's right.
And you don't want to be married to the world, you want to be married to Jesus. Because that's where you get your value.
that's right.
The world don't offer no value.
So before we get out of here, let me switch the lanes really quick, because that's a little deep for me, Jesus. I ain't there yet. John, let me try.
Girl, we need lunch.
So just for people, for women, even for single women, married women, women don't know if they want to be single or married, however you want to do it. Can you give them, and I just want to go down the line, some advice on how do you regain your focus after disappointments?
Um, first of all, you gotta fire Jesus. Like,
Yeah.
like they said, fire Jesus. Don't let no man, or same for men, don't let no lady take your focus off of Jesus.
Mm.
Like, let's say if y'all break up, go to God about it. I mean, you go to God about everything else, why don't you go to God about that?
Mm.
Okay.
I snatched my edges.
Did you feel like it?
Snatch my little edges. Yes.
I usually try to change my perspective, and I can't do that on my own. I do that through, spiritual practices like praying and, listening to the word and stuff. But I also do that by inviting other strong women that I see Christ in into that conversation. Show me where I've gone wrong. I'm teachable. I got to be teachable all the time. So, I want to invite you into that conversation and really just show me, a different way or a different vision.
I think that even like Pastor was saying, you have to first you surround yourself with people who you want to become, and then when you surround yourself with people who you would want to become, what you want to become, then you have to look inside yourself and you have to evaluate within yourself. And then after you evaluate yourself, you have to ask yourself, how bad do you want this? And then if you want it that bad, then you go after it, you pursue it. Now, when you pursue it, then you have to cut off every, like we say, every negative thing, every, if I'm going down this path and you standing off to the left and to the right, and I'm like looking at you and I'm like, I'm not focused. But you have to zero in on your own life and take charge and revisit your own self, and then after you do that, you refuel yourself. And when you refuel yourself, that's when you get focused. And then when you get focused, then you can be able to head down that path, and then, like I say, and surround yourself with women that is going down that same path that, with you. So that's how that's what I say.
That'll preach.
Well, I got one point,
Stay focused.
and I'm gonna be done with it. Yeah, girl, fame down here. I have one key point. One key point. You all said so much and made so many valid key points. I have one. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to the City Talk.
So then, I'm going to go ahead and take us on that. How about that?
Praise
Praise God. So here's my little spiel. When disappointment happens, don't throw yourself a pity party. Stand up, take a deep breath, and now it's time to re-strategize, refocus, recommit, and rebuild. There's nothing wrong with restarting. But don't go and, oh my God, this didn't work for me. Oh my God, this didn't work for me. No. Okay, well, if I can't go down this lane, guess what? Dry those tears, I'm going to go this way. Somebody's going to tell you yes sooner or later.
Sooner or later.
Disappointments happen in life, but you cannot throw yourself a pity party. So I want to say thank you all for coming and joining us on this all-women's panel. And we definitely have to do a part 2 because, man, I have like 15 more questions that I need to get some clarity on just myself. And like China said, please like us on Facebook. What's the name on Facebook, China?
The City Talk.
Instagram.
The City Talk 18.
And YouTube.
The City Talk.
So thank you guys once again. Join us for part 2 of the women's panel.
We love you.